the radical, fundamental principles of freedom, rational self-interest, and individual rights. This is the Yaron Brook Show.
All right, everybody, welcome to Yaron Brook Show on this October 22nd. Hope everybody's having a fantastic week. It is Tuesday. So we got a full show. We'll see if my clickbait works and how many people actually watch today. I did put Hitler right at the beginning of the title. I mean, maybe that'll create some buzz or whatever, or maybe the algorithm from YouTube will kick in and restrict my, I don't know, who knows. Anyway, we will be talking about the popularity of Hitler on TikTok. Kind of crazy. We'll talk about Forgan, who's really Morgan, and Twitch. So today is very cool stuff. This is for the cool kids. Today's show is definitely oriented towards the cool kids, the young kids, the people who know what Twitch is and who know what TikTok is and maybe know what's going on TikTok. This is all new to me, so I apologize in advance. We'll talk about the Pentagon leak and kind of how to deal with news about the Pentagon leak and what is real and what is not. So we'll talk about that a little bit. We'll talk about BRICS meeting in Russia today. There's a bunch of other stories. We'll probably talk about gold and interest rates. Gold is just on a tear. And so are 10-year bonds in declining and interest rates going up. But there's a lot to talk about. We could talk about, I mean, we'll see how far we get. There's a falling out of Windows story. You remember falling out of Windows? We haven't talked about falling out of Windows in a long time, but there's a new falling out of Windows stories. There's a wealth tax story. And there's a wealth tax story. Let's see. I said a wealth tax. Anyway, and there's a story about a new sweetener that is pretty cool. We'll see how much we get to. I also want today to start on a process. That is, I want to start today reviewing the songs that have been sitting in my review folder for 10 months now. So John, you should be happy because a lot of these songs are songs that you requested. So I've got a bunch of songs that John requested and paid me a lot of money for. So I will be doing some reviews of those. I don't think I'll get through all of them today. We'll do a few of them today, a few of them tomorrow, and so on. Then there's a painting. And there's some Shazbot music that he wanted me to review. And then there's a Star Trek episode that I have a request to review. So I'm going to try to do all those in the next couple of weeks. So we'll try to do them. We'll try to do a little bit every day and get through them. And so that I'm done. And then you can tell me maybe I missed something. I think I've got all the movies. Let me know if I've missed any movies. I think I've got all the movies. But anyway, we can go through, we'll go through that as well. There's a Star Trek episode that I have to do as well. Not ready to do that one yet. So far, we're just doing songs. What else do we want to, before we get to Hitler on TikTok, let's quickly run down for the latest in the Middle East. Nothing really new. Israel continues to bomb targets within Beirut. There's some pretty amazing photos of a bomb hitting a building and the building just collapsing really quickly. It just shows how the bomb basically takes out probably all the columns on the lower floor enough, and then everything just collapses on top of that. So if you want to see how a building collapses pretty easily from one bomb, it's out there. But by the way, they did let all the residential people in the building know before they bombed it, so it was empty. So Israel continues to bomb there. They continue operations in southern Lebanon, continue operations in Gaza. They're evacuating out more and more of northern Gaza. The idea is, I think, ultimately to make northern Gaza completely empty of people. Not clear what they'll do with it then, but completely empty of people. Maybe they'll militarize it and annex it. I don't know. But they're slowly moving people away from the northern part of Gaza. I guess the biggest piece of news coming out of Israel. One other thing before we get to that is, this is kind of funny and cool. So Israel yesterday announced that they have the location of a bunker in Beirut, and in that bunker, there is $500 million worth of cash and a bunch of gold. And they said, here it is. Here's where the entrances are. Lebanese, go get your money. Now, they said this is all Hezbollah money that they've stolen over the years. It belongs to the Lebanese people, according to them. And they basically gave them, they didn't bomb it. They basically said, Lebanese, go get your money. Now, I don't know that anybody actually has. And there were reports that reporters tried to find it. So today, Israel sent better instructions about which elevator to take and which floor to get off, and that the entrance is probably obscured and hidden, but it's right there. And just keep searching, and you will find it. It's the bunker with the gold and the cash, and it's go get it, go take it away from Hezbollah. It's pretty cool. Why bomb it? The cash will burn and it's gone. And the gold will melt. It'll be hard to scrape together. Rather redistribute it to the people of Lebanon, whose life has been dramatically disrupted by Hezbollah over decades. As long as the Lebanese government doesn't get a hold of it. Anyway, I thought that was a funny story, but it's all over. You can see the video of literally the Israeli spokesman for the Israeli military going through, showing a map, 3D images, and then today there was this further report about which elevator to take. I think it's floor -2. If any of you are treasure hunters and want to get your hands on $500 million. Floor -2 under the Rafik Hariri Hospital. Take the elevator down to -2 and then search the basement area there. There is an entrance into the bunker, and there's where the $500 million of cash and gold is. So anybody who's adventurous and wants to go find treasure, that's the location to do it. Forget about hidden treasure, buried treasure anywhere else. This is a clean, easy, well, not easy maybe, but $500 million. Anyway, I guess the important news coming out of Israel is that Blinken, you remember Blinken? Blinken, compromise, negotiate, diplomacy, ceasefire. Don't go into this. Don't do that. Don't attack there. Don't, Blinken. That Blinken, the representative of the Biden administration, is in Israel today. I told you that Israel probably wouldn't attack Iran last night because Blinken was there. Well, he met with Netanyahu today, and according to Ynet, which is one of the Israeli news sources, his big ask of Netanyahu was shocking, surprising, unexpectedly. Please decrease the scale of your response against Iran. Just tone it down. Just don't make it as harsh as you intended to. And by the way, maybe you can just take off the list all those targets that the documents leaked by Blinken's office or the Biden administration, people in the Biden administration yesterday. You can just take those targets off because the Iranians already know about them. They're all over Telegram and all over the internet. So maybe that's the way to resolve this. Just to show you how appeasing the Israelis are and how this is a negotiation that is, it's not the reality that sometimes, Netanyahu tries to present. That, no, we're going to do on what's in our national interest. We're not interested. We're going to do. The defense secretary said something like that the U.S. supporting Israel when Iran attacks after Israel attacks, whenever that happens, is a huge boost to regional deterrence. How do I not get angry? No. The only way to establish regional deterrence is for Israel to do an all-out, crushing, unbelievably aggressive, full-on, using multiple weapon systems and leaving big chunks of Iran a scorched earth. That would be a deterrence. Another air defense system by the United States, another example of Israel's dependence on the U.S., another example of Israel playing the crybaby to the U.S. is not going to send the message that Israel will never be defeated, because the reality is a future American administration could change their mind. A future American administration could stop supporting Israel. Israel should not position itself in a way where its deterrence depends on the United States. Its deterrence should be its own. Its airplanes, its rockets, its ballistic missiles, its operational systems. And I know that they've been negotiating because I know, I mean, I'll be surprised. But the attack on Iran is going to be less than what it should be, less than what they originally planned, less than what the Iranians deserve, because the Israelis got a deal with the Biden administration to get more air defense systems in exchange of toning it all down. Toning it all down. That is not deterrence, and they know it. They're just, I don't know. I feel weird saying this, but it's true. They're too cowardly to do what's necessary. They're too cowardly to go all in. Everything they do is hedged. Everything they do, they want big brother, big uncle America protecting their flank. And that is not good. Not good, given that Kamala might win the election in 2 weeks, and she is even less friendly to Israel than Biden is. Trump might win the election 2 weeks, and who knows what Trump is? I mean, he might be friendly right now. He might be friendly for a year. He might be friendly for 4 years, but he might not be. He might change his mind in the middle and strike up a friendship with the Iranian, Ayatollah, and decide that the Ayatollah is his best friend and his whatever. You don't never know with Trump, right? He's a complete wild card. Why do you want to establish your deterrence based on, the United States, which, cannot be and should not be relied upon, counted on? Boaz, I'm not going to give Netanyahu credit. He hasn't destroyed Hamas. Hamas is still killing Israeli soldiers. Israel still hasn't occupied southern Lebanon. It still hasn't reached the Litani. Everything is going super slowly. Soldiers are dying. That is all a consequence of slow indecisiveness, cowardly behavior, and placing risk aversion above victory. And I'm not going to give Netanyahu credit that he does not deserve. Now, he's done, as I've said many times, more than I expected. All right? My expectations were very, very low of Netanyahu. He's behaved more than I expected. But to give him positive credit where he doesn't deserve it, he doesn't deserve it. And if you understand what the alternative is, if you understand what could be, and how many lives would be saved if what could be would be what is done. I mean, the problem with Boaz, and a lot of people who think like Boaz, is they can't imagine what a self-interested, actual tough, actual strong, self-defense focused military exercise is. I mean, I got the same kind of stuff with Bush and 9/11. Oh, look, Bush, he's so tough. And yeah, there were moments he looked tough. But he was a weakling, a coward, an intellectual coward. And Bibi is very, very similar. And you can't imagine that. Neither could the people, many objectivists, who after 9/11 criticized me for critiquing Bush, couldn't imagine what the alternative looked like, as much as I tried to articulate it in detail. Let's see. This is kind of funny. And this is a funny story. I'm pretty sure it's untrue, but there's a story right now that the Iranian state media is reporting. Iranian state media, there's a source for you, that Iran and Saudi Arabia have agreed to hold joint naval exercises in the Red Sea. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them, but it is kind of crazy. That would be pretty nutty. Anyway, I mean, Saudi Arabia, would it shock me if they were playing both sides constantly? It wouldn't surprise me at all. All right, let's see. That is nonsense. That's nonsense. Okay. All right, so that's just a quick update on the Middle East. We'll see when the Iranian attack actually happens. Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow night, maybe never. Who knows? We'll see. But no, as far as I know, Hamas is not yet destroyed. Hezbollah is not yet destroyed. Israel has destroyed Hamas's leadership many times, and they keep bouncing back. And decapitation is not the right strategy. You gotta uproot them. You gotta destroy them thoroughly and completely. Now, maybe Israel will do that ultimately. And, you know, it's slowly moving towards that goal, but the slower it is, the less effective it will be ultimately. Shock and awe is what you really ultimately need. All right, Hitler. God, I can't believe I'm doing this story. It turns out that people are taking Hitler speeches and having AI translate them and putting them to with music background and posting them on TikTok. So they're very short videos of segments from a Hitler speech with AI yelling them in English, and these things are going viral. They say there are about 50,000 of these clips now, getting millions and millions and millions of views. And the thing about it is, it's not just getting views accidentally. It's because people are liking them. And people are discovering a side of Hitler they did not know. And they did not know because their teachers haven't taught them. They did not know because they have a pretty retarded understanding of history and understanding of politics. So here is Hitler on these videos, yelling, like he always yells, right, about global capitalism and the evil of global capitalism. Globalism, cosmopolitanism, as they called it back then. He's yelling about the benefits of socialism. Yeah, socialism. Hitler was a socialist, a national socialist. That's what the Nazi Party is. And he's not kidding. He really is a socialist. That's the ideology. It's National Socialism. And he's, you know, after basically globalization, capitalism, global capitalism, the Jews, of course, but the Jews in the context of capitalism, most leftists agree with that because Marx has conditioned them to that already. He accuses Marx of being a Jew, and in the pockets of the financiers, of the capitalists, and communism as a betrayal of socialism. He presents himself, Hitler, as the true socialist. And I think people, young people, listen to this out of context, right, on Twitter, and they're like, huh? I always thought, I mean, they probably think, I always thought Hitler was a fascist, and fascist is right wing, and right wing is the opposite of socialism. So Hitler must have been kind of a capitalist, and he was defending the capitalists. That's what Hitler's about. God, he really turned out to be a pretty good guy because he's a socialist. He cares about the workers. He constantly talks about the workers and an uprising of the workers against, this is what my teachers taught me is good. This isn't bad. So what you get on TikTok right now is both alt-right crazies going, yeah, you know, and they know they know a little bit more of what they're doing. But then you get a bunch of leftist kids who have no clue. All they've taught history by they woke professors and woke teachers, and they've been taught that, you know, there's this political spectrum. On one side is the left, communism, and those are kind of the good guys, although it's, you know, it's never been done perfectly and they've never done it right, but socialism is basically good. And then on the other side is fascism together with capitalism, and those are the evil, and capitalism and fascism are racist and everything else, and that's evil, and that's where Hitler belongs. And then suddenly they discover, but wait a minute, Hitler is saying all the things the socialists say. He's talking about the workers. He's talking about being against finance and being against capitalism and being against all the things that I was taught were bad. And yeah, he's accusing the Jews, but so did Marx and so did my professors, really. And the Jews are successful and they're bad. So this all fits. I mean, it's really, really, really scary out there. This is a generation that gets much of its news and knowledge about the world out there from TikTok, from social media. And literally Hitler videos are doing well. Now, part of this is the people don't know who Hitler was. They kind of know Holocaust and stuff like that, maybe. They know World War II. But it's a taboo topic. So the fact that Hitler was a National Socialist, the fact that his ideology was a socialist ideology, the fact that there's no big difference between Marx, you know, in a sense of between communism and fascism, they're in a sense on the same side of the political spectrum, that they're both socialist, that socialists embrace all of that. They don't know that. They've never really, you know, probably studied Hitler in terms of actually read him or read about him in a serious way. He's held, I think, in our modern culture as a caricature. And then you hear him and they go, oh, that makes sense. That kind of makes sense. And he comes across as an anti-Semite, which is, of course, completely consistent with the modern left. Not as a racist, which they don't like. They don't like racists, but he's really just an anti-Semite. He hates the same people we hate. And it's really, really scary that they embrace this stuff, or at the very least, they can't filter it out, or they can't combat it, they can't challenge it, they can't say anything against it. And it just becomes part of the world in which they live. Part of this is the fact, for example, in Germany, that I think this is true of Amazon. You can't buy Mein Kampf. You can't buy Hitler, a book of Hitler, because it's kind of bad. It's not good. But people should read it. People should know what he said. People should know what he stood for, not in sound bites curated by who knows whom on TikTok. But they should read it from the devil's mouth. Now, the clips are often accompanied by popular music and instrumental beats. By the way, all this supposedly violates TikTok's hate speech policies, but they're having a really hard time dealing with it. They're taking down some videos, but more pop up as they take them down. The translations are done by AI, and the videos are altered, and a lot of times they have all kinds of pleasing backgrounds, right? Videos like they have scenic imagery or stuff like that. People are commenting on the thread. Adolf Hitler was a good and kind man, it seems like. And people are saying, this changed my view of him. Like this minute TikTok video changed people's view. I mean, how shallow do you have to be? I mean, it's not just that idiotic Tucker guest who is rethinking their conception of Hitler. But people on TikTok are getting a new perspective. They say there are over 50,000 TikTok posts that have used the audio clips of the Nazi speeches. Not only Hitler, they also have some of Goebbels, who was, of course, the chief propagandist of the Nazi Party. And these things are going viral. Some of them are getting, one of these got 6 million views or something. In the meantime, TikTok has said they've taken down 1,300 pieces of related content. 1,300. They're 50,000. Yeah, pretty amazing. The accounts that launched this are the alt-right type accounts, the white supremacists, anti-Semites kind of accounts. But then these young kids who are leftist, they don't know. They can't differentiate. Socialism is socialism. Let's go for it. This is why I said left and right ultimately unite to kill us, the people who believe in freedom. Anyway, beware on TikTok. It's a dangerous place. You guys know how to deal with this, I'm sure. But if you got kids, if you got others, yeah, you got to monitor this kind of stuff, or at least give them the tools to deal with it. You know, self-identified Nazis are clearly using TikTok purposefully in order to launch this stuff, in order to try to get new adherents. All right, related, I guess, not really, but kind of wackiness on social media. There was a big brouhaha on Twitch. Now, I don't know what Twitch is exactly. I guess it's a place where young people play video games and they talk while they're playing video games, and it's huge. It's like massive, right? I think that's right. And it has its own celebrities, and people make a lot of money on there, and they're Twitch partners, and they get paid to do this, and it's just big Twitch community out there that I am completely unfamiliar with. I don't know anything about it. It's a streaming service, like what I'm doing right now, but it's got to do with gaming, right? It's got to do with gaming. Anyway, there's a woman who that goes by the name Forgan, although her name is Morgan, but she goes by the name Forgan, who is a Twitch streamer, I guess a Twitch partner, and she is half, I think she's half Lebanese, half American, something like that. I read somewhere that her mother called her Morgan because she was pissed off at the dad, who is Lebanese, and wanted to call her the most American name she could think of. So she called her Morgan, something like that. Who knows? Anyway, Forgan has been talks about all kinds of things. She's got a foul mouth. She's pretty disgusting. Just listen to her. Every second or third word is the F word. You know, she wears a head covering. I don't know if that's because she's religious, because I don't know any religious people who talk like this. I don't know what her story is. I'm not really that interested. You guys probably know more about her than I do. Some of you do. Anyway. And she plays, I guess she plays some games. She plays, I don't know what kind of game she plays. She plays some games while she comments on the world. And she's affiliated with some other gamers who are also Arab, who have a common perspective in that they all seem to hate Israel. They seem to be pro-Palestinian and seem to, you know, want to, without being too explicit about it, basically support Hamas and Hezbollah. There have been a lot of complaints about her for a while. She's been on panels. Again, she's associated with this group of people. But put everything else aside. Put everything else aside. I don't understand I don't understand, and you guys can tell me, you can explain this to me because you're more connected to popular culture than I am. What is it about being the most foul-mouthed you can be that gets you massive followers and gets you to be a representative of a platform, right? That's what I think a partnership means. And yeah, so I don't understand this just talking horribly and not being articulate. She can't put a sentence together, and yet be foul-mouthed on principle. Why that is appealing, but it is. It is. Says something about generation of people on Twitch. Anyway, Forgan has been involved in a bunch of stuff about, she's pro-Palestinian and about, conflicts and contradictions there. But last week, I guess it was, she made a statement about American troops, American soldiers. She basically said, let me just find it. She said, and I have to censor this, right? She said, I quote, "I will never have any pity for any soldiers. U.S. military, boo. Effing who? I hope you get PTSD." That's post-traumatic stress syndrome, right? She continued, "The U.S. military that are like, yeah, I did this back then, but now I know it's wrong, like I'm changed. Effing imperialism. F this. You don't deserve the PTSD. So you should be worse, I guess, than PTSD." Anyway, this created a big buzz on, on Twitch. Disrespecting American soldiers, I guess, is unacceptable, even on Twitch. One user said she disrespected the troops, those that put their lives on the line every day. She deserves the ban. And she, and there was a lot of outcry, and there was a lot of, a lot of noise around this. And then Twitch came out and said, okay, she's banned for 30 days. A lot of people said she deserves the ban, that she's an evil person, and so on. Obviously, somebody watches her and listens to her, so it can't be that much. In the meantime, so she's been banned. Once she got the criticism, she came out and apologized. I don't know what on Twitter, because she's banned on. And she wrote in the apology, "I go on to clarify in the clip that I do not mean all military, but specifically those with no remorse. What I said was out of frustration, as they are currently bombing my family in the name of liberation. I realize that wishing people harm isn't the best way to talk to these issues, and I could have talked about these topics in a more sensitive way." She doesn't know what it means to talk sensitive, which was funny. I saw another video of her on like a panel at the Twitch conference where she was like talking about Lebanon. Somebody mentioned the Druze, and she was like, "Who are the Druze? What's Druze?" Right? She's Lebanese, for God. She claims to have family in Lebanon. She doesn't know anything about Lebanon. She doesn't know what the Druze are. Anyway, this is a big brouhaha. The fact that she's as violently anti-Israel as she is didn't get a ban. That was not a problem. Disrespecting American troops did get a ban. She's off. But as part of this, there was some further investigations. By the way, she basically supported October 7th. She basically, claimed that it was an act of resistance. This is part of resistance. This is what you get. So this is So, you know, she's an October 7th denier, if you will. Anyway, as part of people commenting on all of this, it turns out that there are allegations against Twitch for anti-Semitism, against Twitch as a company. It turns out the company has basically, over the last few months, banned people who have accounts who are from Israel from joining the platform. Only from Israel. You know, Twitch has acknowledged this and said it's a mistake, that they did this after October 7th because they didn't want people loading videos of the horrors of October 7th. They didn't want those videos on the platform. So they took people who had IP addresses linked to Israel. They didn't let new people join. And then they forgot to change the setting. They forgot to change it back. I don't know what you want to make of that. But there you have it. You know, they forgot. They forgot. So they've done away with that. Now Israelis can join the Twitch channel and do stuff there. It sounds like the channel is filled with these horrible people. I'm not sure why anybody would want to join given that. But yeah, she sounds like a really disgusting human being. You know, I'm glad she got banned. It's a private decision. It's none of my business. It's not a legal issue. I'm sure she'll be back. I'm sure they'll embrace her. She brings Twitch a lot of money. But what's shocking to me and what should be shocking to everybody is just the popularity of these weirdos. I mean, if you look at her videos, she's weird. And maybe that's what you need. Maybe if I want to get to 100,000 followers here on YouTube, I just need to increase the weirdness quotient. Maybe I need some makeup, some color, I need to start swearing more. Or swearing at all, because I don't swear. That's my problem. I don't swear. I don't swear. Anyway, we need to do something to ramp up the, I don't know, being a horrible human being quotient to drive traffic, because it looks like that is what audiences want. Should I dye my hair purple? No. If you're an objectivist, you dye your hair red to be like Howard Rook. You don't dye your hair purple, red. That's what I should dye my hair. All right. Not happening, guys. Not happening, as you can probably guess. All right, so as we know, there was a leak coming out of the Defense Department about Israel's plans to attack Iran. Pretty detailed stuff. Appeared on Telegram yesterday or the day before yesterday. And it's clear that only somebody with very high security clearance could have done this. And there is an ongoing investigation in terms of who this might be. There was a story out this morning or the early afternoon that the source of the leak has been found, that it was Ariana Tabai, and that spread like wildfire on Twitter. But then people came out and said that the story is not true. That this woman Ariana is still at her job. She still got the security clearance. Nobody's fired her. Nothing's happened. That the investigation is ongoing. So first, I would say, beware of breaking news, fog of war, all of that. But beware of breaking news. Now, this news broke from a number of sources, including a source in Israel. But and there's reason to believe that Ariana Tabai might be it. But there's no evidence, and clearly the investigation is not complete, and they haven't identified her yet. They might still, but beware of breaking stories like that, and beware of retweeting it, beware of repeating it, beware of all of that. So this is a story about things just hit your stream, particularly in social media. Don't believe everything you read, even if it kind of makes sense. This Ariana Tabatini is pretty amazing. I mean, she has deep roots in Iran. She has close personal and family ties, supposedly, to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, sorry. She's been part of the defense, she's been in sensitive defense positions since the Obama administration. She's part of the team that negotiated a deal with Iran back then. Some people, although I don't know how legit this is, claim she is in communication with Iranian officials, is sympathetic to Iranian officials. I don't know if any of that is true, but she does have a background that seems suspicious for the kind of position she's in, given that even Kamala Harris, when Kamala Harris was asked who is the number one threat to the United States today, she didn't say China, she didn't say Russia. Even Kamala Harris said Iran. So you'd think that somebody with Iranian background and Iranian connections and Iranian links would be doubly, triply, quadruply checked. Not clear that she has been, I don't know. Anyway, no investigation ongoing, no reason to think it's her yet. Her security clearance has not been taken away from her. And we're still waiting to hear who leaked that information. It could be you remember, like, what was that? That one clerk who turned out to be trans and leaked it all to WikiLeaks and just reams of classified information. Could be or there was somebody in the Massachusetts National Guard who leaked some confidential information. What was it about Ukraine? So you never know who it's going to be. And unfortunately, some of this confidential information gets distributed fairly widely. Chelsea Manning was the original, but then there was the guy in Massachusetts, can't remember his name. It could be anybody. We just don't know. Ongoing investigation, we will find out. I hope they find it. I mean, it shouldn't be that hard, right? These things almost always leave a trail, right? All right, let's see. What did we want to talk about now? Okay, so let's talk about BRIC. So BRIC is Brazil, Russia, India, China. BRIC was, and it's BRICS with an S. I have an S. BRICS, South Africa is the fifth member. And BRICS was supposed to be an alternative to kind of Western liberal countries, Western Europe, the United States, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan. It's supposed to be the alternative. It's supposed to be the more authoritarian. It's supposed to be, mostly countries from the southern hemisphere. And they're the ones that belong to the BRICS, and they're supposed to be this alternate to the West. And indeed, if you look from an economic perspective, if you look at the West, the G7, which is the 7 largest economies, they represent a smaller percentage of global GDP over the last 40 years as the BRICS have increased. Interesting, though, if you look at the BRICS increasing, it's almost all China, right? I mean, Russia hasn't really grown. India, a little bit. Brazil, stagnation. So it's really almost all China. China is the dominant player in the BRICS. It is the 800-pound gorilla. It's got the economic force. It's got the population. Although India is bigger population-wise, it's got a much smaller economy. So the real player here is China. After the last meeting the BRICS had, which I think was in South Africa, the BRICS invited other members to join. So they have now added, I think, Iran, go figure, they're everywhere, these Iranians. Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, and United Arab Emirates, as well as Saudi Arabia. So they've added significant players from the Middle East, right? Saudi Arabia, UAE, Iran, Egypt. They are considering Turkey, Azerbaijan, and Malaysia, and a few others. So they basically want to become this alliance of countries who are skeptical of the West. Although United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia certainly want to pretend that they are part of that they are friendly to the West and they really belong to the West. And Turkey constantly wants EU membership, although they're not getting it. So, you know, they're playing both sides, which is not surprising. But, you know, the BRICS is this power block, you know, and Malaysia is a growing economy. You could imagine they add Indonesia and the Philippines and Vietnam and who knows who else, although Vietnamese and the Chinese don't really get along. So they're having their meeting, their annual meeting in Russia, in Eastern Russia, Central Eastern Russia, something like that, today. 36 countries are going to be attending. Of the 36 countries, they're going to be represented, 20 of them are going to be represented by heads of state. So this is a big international conference in which the West is not invited. India is another country that tries to play it both sides. On the one hand, they want to pretend that they're a Western liberal democracy, and they're friends with Europe and the United States. On the other hand, and of course they're in huge conflict with China. They almost went to war 4 years ago. On the other hand, they are the biggest buyer of Russian oil. They cozy up to Russia. They buy a lot of weapons from the Russians. They want to play it both ways. Anyway, this conference is being hosted by Putin. And I think right now the perspective is, and I think the perspective of the rest of the world is, the sad reality is, the West is weak. In spite of everything, Russia is still making progress in Ukraine. The West probably could beat Russia, but it's just uncommittal and not willing to fully support Ukraine. So it's weak. It's weak. It's cowardly. Pretty pathetic. The West generally is in decline. A lot of infighting, a lot of political mayhem. Russia, China, very stable. Even India, in spite of the fact that the Indian Modi didn't do that well in the last election, and still held up, still is prime minister. She gets stability. Dictators have stability. You've got this crazy election in the U.S. The U.S. appears weak. They'll either choose Kamala, who's clearly weak, doesn't know what she's doing, is incompetent, mindless. I mean, I don't think any of these guys are particularly intimidated by her or respectful of her. Or you get Trump, and Trump might join BRICS. I don't know. He loves Putin. He admires Xi. I mean, I think he'd get along with the Ayatollahs of Iran and the leaders of Ethiopia and all these other places. I mean, and he's a big pal of the Saudis. He dances with the princes. There's lots of evidence Kamala is weak and incompetent. And there's lots of evidence she's brainless. Just watch any of her interviews. Her interviews are pathetic. She can't think on her feet. Sorry. I mean, I would probably, if I had to choose between the two, I'd vote for her. But she's really pathetic. You've got to acknowledge, I mean, don't get Kamala syndrome like Trump syndrome. Like, you can support voting for Kamala without pretending that she's any good. She's no good. She's no good. She's terrible. And I don't think they're worried about her. I don't think they're afraid of her. I mean, she'll support Ukraine. But even there, I mean, Biden administration supported Ukraine. It's not just she has terrible ideas. She's just not a competent person. It's not just that it's not just supporting Ukraine like Biden did. But he supported it in a defeatist way, in a weak way. Yeah, Tulsi Gabbard is completely loony. Yeah, she can talk, but she's completely a wacko. Gabbard. Tulsi. She's on Trump camp. She's going to get a juicy Trump appointment. Maybe we can make a, I don't know, ambassador to Russia. That would be a good position for her. Anyway, the BRICS smell blood. They smell weakness. They're attracted to weakness. And they see the West as weak. They see the West as weak under Biden. They see the West as weak under Trump. And I think Putin in particular feels like this is his time. So he's bringing them together. One of the things he wants to convince them of, all these 36 countries, is to embrace a new payment system, to abandon SWIFT, which is the international payment system, abandon the dollar, and shift to an alternative payment system that the Russians are creating. I'm not sure what currency they will use, but Russia is creating an alternative. The Chinese would like this as well. China's creating their own alternative. China would like everybody to switch to their central bank digital currency, which they have been experimenting with for a few years now, and is very efficient because it's a digital currency, which is a very efficient means. So that is a big part of the agenda. The meeting, I'll follow, I'll let you know what happens. Whatever they say, whatever ultimately happens, whatever comes out of this, let me guarantee one thing to you. They'll claim they're abandoning the dollar, maybe, but they won't. They just can't. There is no current alternative to the dollar. There just isn't. I wish there was. I'm not that crazy about the dollar. I think Milei is right in wanting to dollarize his economy, not convert it to yuans or not convert it to rubles. But he realizes that the only semi-stable currency in the world is the dollar, and the BRICS are fantasizing if they think that they're going to be able to get off the dollar and do something different. All right, let's see. What else do we want to do? That is BRICS. Putin's having a blast, greeting all these people and showing himself off as not the ostracized dictator. No, he's very popular and loved and appreciated out there in the world. Jeremy, thank you for doing 10 gift memberships. That's fantastic. That is really fantastic. Thank you. It's one way to support the show is gift membership. Another is to do stickers. Thank you, John, for the sticker. I saw a bunch of other stickers earlier. Let me go forward. I think John did, Mike did a sticker. Thank you, Mike Dial. I thought I saw another one. All right. John Bales. Oh, it's disappeared. Okay, it's on here. Here we go. I'll find it. Nefal, John Glue. Those are the ones I missed. Okay, thank you for the stickers. Really appreciate it. Oh, one more. Yeah, Mike. I think we got Mike. Okay, let me remind everybody that the show is funded through listeners like you. It can't happen without support from you guys. I can't do this for free. Not independently wealthy. I live off of this. So my time is valuable. If you gain value from this, please, value for value. You can support the show with a question, which is great right now. We don't have a lot of Super Chat questions. Not enough to keep us going into that third hour. So come on over and ask a question. Put some dollars behind it. That way you support the show. You can also do it with the sticker. You can do it like Jeremy did by gifting memberships. We will be doing a members-only show, I think on Sunday. I need to finalize it today or tomorrow. I'll finalize it tomorrow. So yes, we're way short of our first hour. We have like every hour has a goal, $250 basically an hour, which is what we try to raise every show from the super chat. So we're far from that. So you know we're looking to make that first goal. We don't have a lot of time, like 5 minutes, to make our first hour goal. So think about, we got a lot of people watching right now on YouTube. Think about whether you get value from the show, whether you'd be willing to put $2, $5, $500 towards making sure the show continues and enhancing the show and building the show and so on, and just showing your support, just value for value, and put it up, put a question in it, or just do a stick up. All right. What else did I want to talk about? Yeah, related to BRICS. I want to talk about this. This is a really interesting phenomena. I don't have full explanation to it, but I think it's probably the most interesting economic phenomena right now, market phenomena going on right now. And that is, if you look at gold prices, they've just going straight up. Gold prices seem to be hitting new all-time highs almost every day. Well over 2,700. Gold is supposed to be an inflation hedge, but inflation is coming down. So you kind of wonder what's going on here. Why is gold going up? We'll get to possible explanations in a minute. At the same time, another thing is happening. You remember the Federal Reserve lowered interest rates by 50 basis points just a month ago. Month and a half ago. And yet, since then, the 10-year interest rates you get if you buy a 10-year bond, is going up. It's going up. It's gone up to 4.2%, which is significantly higher. I think it was down around 3.5. So interest rates are going up. Now, you'd expect that if the market was expecting inflation in the future and basically saying the Fed is overdoing lowering interest rates. If you believe interest rates and inflation are related and that lowering interest rates will create long-term inflation, then it makes sense, if they believe that inflation is still a potential, it makes sense that they're afraid that the lowering of interest rates is going to stimulate inflation in the future like it did in the 1970s. So 10-year bonds are going up, which is curious and interesting. Gold is going up. You could also explain gold going up as also a kind of an interpretation that says, yeah, inflation seems to be coming down now, but we believe, the buyers of gold, that inflation is going to go up in the future. So we're hedging now against future inflation. So that's another potential explanation for why gold is going up. Future inflation expectations. And that is consistent with the 10-year. And it's consistent with the fact that everybody believes that the economy is doing pretty well, that we're not going to have a recession, and that, again, people associate a good economy with inflation, so we're not going to have deflationary pressures, right? So that could explain the increase in gold prices and the rising interest rates. As a consequence of rising interest rates, the value of dollars in terms of other currencies, not in terms of gold, obviously, but in terms of other currencies, the dollar is still strong, relatively speaking, and holding up. So people are buying dollars so they can benefit from the high interest rates they can get on a 10-year bond. They're buying 10-year bonds with it. Now, that might be the explanation, but it's not necessarily the explanation. I think gold generally is a hedge against the world going nuts. It's a hedge against craziness. It's a hedge against mayhem and destruction. interest rates, again, hedge against, in a sense, people are saying, in order for me to hold U.S. government bonds, I need to be paid for them because, God, you have so much debt, I don't know if I could get paid back. I find it interesting that gold has accelerated and interest rates have gone up in an accelerated way as Trump has risen in terms of the probability that he will win. If you look at betting markets right now, the probability that Trump is going to win has increased by up to 65%, 64%, I think. So right now, bettors are saying that there's a 64% chance that Trump will win. Just a few weeks ago, it was 50-50, or it was 51-49 for Kamala. So as the probability of Trump winning has increased, so has gold and interest rates. And as Boaz points out, so is the price of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's gone through the roof suddenly, right? And again, some of that in the beginning of the year, but a lot of it is just in the last few weeks. It went from like 62,000 up into the 70s. Now, why would people be doing this if Trump is likely to win? Well, a few things. One is, if Trump wins, that increases uncertainty about what the hell is going to happen. He's a wild card. He's crazy. Right? He's crazy. So nobody knows exactly what to make of that. And you want to have a piece of your wealth hedged against craziness. And gold is a great way to hedge against that. I mean, right now, central banks, instead of buying what they typically buy as U.S. treasuries, are buying gold. Because right now, they don't know what U.S. treasuries are worth. Because who knows what Trump will do when he's in office. So it's a hedge against crazy. It's also the case that by most estimates that look at the relative economic plans and what's doable and what's not doable, Trump's plans involve massive increases to government deficits. As government deficits increase, the probability that the government can pay back its debt decreases. The probability of inflation to devalue the value of the debt increases. And you want to take that into account, and that means long-term interest rates should go up. So as the probability of Trump winning has increased, the probability of greater deficits, even bigger than what Biden has created, increases, and interest rates are going up. And alternatives, I guess, people view this as alternative to gold and dollars, Bitcoin is also going up. And then if you add to that, that Trump is committed to spiraling the world into a tariffs war, into a trade war, then it makes sense. You want to buy gold. If there's going to be a trade war, who knows what happens to the dollar? Who knows if the dollar is useful at all? Because it's not clear who you're going to be trading with. Probably not with America. Maybe you're going to be trading with other countries and not with the United States. It's not clear the United States is going to buy stuff, so dollars are going to get scarce. So you're looking for alternatives to dollars, and people are rushing to gold and maybe to Bitcoin. And if you're going to hold dollars, i.e. dollar-denominated securities, you're demanding a higher interest rate. So my interpretation right now, and again, interpreting movements of the markets is very, very dangerous, is that markets are hedging a Trump victory. They're hedging against the Trump victory. They're worried about Trump winning. Now, stock market is up as well. But stock market did very well under Trump. So I think people assume he'll be good for these businesses and he'll be good for the stock market. But Biden was good for the stock market as well. So Kamala's probably not bad for the stock market either, according to the market. So the stock market's going up because I think they think, whether this is true or not, I'll leave it to you, that no matter who wins, stock market's going to do okay. Stocks can deal with inflation. I don't know what stocks do if there's a trade war. Stocks get hurt. American companies get hurt. But some, not all. I'm not sure what Apple does if tariffs are suddenly hit. If tariffs suddenly hit, hit Chinese goods. So stock market is a more complicated story. There's a lot more going on. And what's interesting is stocks are going down the last couple of days as interest rates are going up. As I've told you many, many times, all else held constant, there's an inverse relationship between interest rates and stock prices. As interest rates go up, stock prices will come down. That is the relationship. So interesting outlook out there. Interesting way in which people are hedging and protecting and trying to figure out what the future holds. Whether this makes sense or not is an open question. Whether they'll make money, lose money, or what exactly will happen is an open question. We will see how this all plays out. All right. Let's see. I think one thing is pretty for sure, and that is that we've got two candidates who are both pretty destructive to the U.S. economy. And of the two, if you take their ideas seriously, that if you believe that they're going to do what they say they're going to do, surprisingly, the one who's more destructive is Trump by quite a bit because of just how destructive tariffs are. This is not the tariffs of this first term. This is universal tariffs, across the board tariffs. That is, super destructive territory. Super destructive territory. Anyway, both candidates bad for the economy, no question about it at all. All right, what else do we want to say? Frank said, Yaron, I think Dave Smith thinks you're a bloodthirsty, evil man. I know he does. It's not surprising. I was called a bloodthirsty, evil man. Me and Dr. Peikoff were called bloodthirsty, evil people by the Mises Institute people in 2002 or 3. You can find it. I think it's on antiwar.org. You can find the articles they wrote about us and how evil we were and how bloodthirsty we are and all of that. So who cares? Why would you care what Dave Smith thinks of me? I don't care. I mean, if Dave Smith thought something positive of me, I would worry. I would worry. The Rothbard Institute, which is called, unfortunately, the Mises Institute, hates my guts and has hated my guts for, God, I can't believe it, but it's 20 years. 20 years. And Dave Smith is just the most recent expression of that vile hatred. And that's fine. I will defend my position on 9/11. I'll defend my position on foreign policy, and I'll defend my position on the Palestinians and Israel and all of that. I have no problem with that. Okay. All right. So that is the news for this October 22nd, 2024. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a few songs. I'm going to review a few songs for those of you interested. I know John paid me quite a bit of money to do these. And these are the oldest ones. So these I'm holding over, I think, from the New Year's Eve show, God, from December. But these I've had on my list for a long time. So we're going to go over these. I think we go over some of these pretty quickly. And then after this, I will come to the super chat questions and cover the super chat questions. So feel free to ask more questions. By the way, a review of a song is $100. Review of a TV show is $250. Review of a movie is $500. I've also got a short story to review. I'll be doing that, all of that by the end of the month. Short story, depending on how short, but it's probably $500 as well. So here we go. We'll start with the first song by Queen. Now, I can't play the songs because then YouTube will ding me for a copyright violation. I don't know how to get around that. So, I can't play the songs, but I'm just going to do these, and hopefully you'll find this entertaining and interesting. Or not, I don't know. But the first song is Radio Gaga by Queen. Late 70s, I think. Typical Queen, big sound, big beat. This is one of the songs of Queen that most gets close to kind of disco. There were a few others. Kind of this is the disco period. I don't particularly like it, I have to admit. It's not one of my favorite Queen songs. I don't think it's a Queen song that will survive. I don't think it's one of the will make greatest hits lists 20 years from now from Queen. I think the Queen has much better songs. But it's interesting because a lot of the very simple beat-driven songs of Queen are the ones that some of the most popular and one of the most popular songs that they have. So who knows what popular taste is like. This song is about basically nostalgia to radio and the importance of radio. And how we're always going to listen to the radio and how committed we are to the radio. So even there, I think this is going to be dated very quickly, right? I mean, it should be iPod Gaga or iTunes Gaga or streaming songs Gaga rather than Radio Gaga. Radio, I think, for music is pretty much dead. And if it isn't dead yet, it will be within a few years, decades, or whatever. There's references to War of the Worlds, Invaded by Mars. That's the famous radio episode of the War of the Worlds, where people actually thought it was real, where they declared that Martians had landed on Earth, and it was just a reading of a short story. But people freaked out, and that was kind of the first time that people got how powerful radio was as a medium. So he talks about that. The song says, "You made me laugh, you made me cry, you made us feel like we could fly. So don't become some background noise, a backdrop for girls and boys who just don't know or just don't care and just complain when you're not there." I mean, the reality is, and then, we all hear is Radio Gaga and so on. So I find the music is a little as boring and not very interesting and repetitive. And then the lyrics are cute, but it's for nostalgia to a world that's gone, right? Radio is gone. There are other mediums. Now it's all podcasts. Podcast Gaga. There you go. And who knows what the next big thing will be? Twitch Gaga. We hardly need to use our ears. Our music changes through the years. Let's hope you never leave, old friend. It's left already. Sorry. Like all good things, on you we depend. So stick around because we might miss you when we grow tired of this visu. It's just, lyrics are not that interesting and not that sophisticated. And I don't like the song. Too simple. I find those songs from the 70s annoying. For the 70s had great music, but those. All right, next one is My Life by Billy Joel. My Life. Again, 70s. This is when I was a teenager. This is kind of my music. I love Queen. I like certain music by Queen. Some of it is going to survive as classics, and some of it's just not going to make it. And I fear that Radio Gaga is not going to make it. Billy Joel. Billy Joel is cute. It's fun. It's positive. It's melodic. It's got particularly My Life has a fun beat. It's very upbeat. And it's got some interesting chorus lines, and it's about being independence. So it's got some good lyrics about independence, and I like the music. Again, I couldn't listen to the song more than once. Like I could listen to My Life by Billy Joel and then not listen to it for 5 years and I'd be fine, right? And I don't hate it. It just doesn't, for me, it doesn't really resonate as music that really touches me particularly deeply. Most of this music, John, for me, has a shallow effect and doesn't really last for very long. But again, if somebody was playing Billy Joel in the background, I'd get into it. Now here the lyrics are, it's about my life. It's about being independent. It's about I'm going to make decisions for myself. I don't need you to worry for me because I'm all right. I don't want you to tell me it's time to come home. I don't care what you say anymore. This is my life. Go ahead with your own life. Leave me alone. I like the leave me alone side. I like leave me alone. I mean, that's good. That's a good line, right? I never said you had to offer me a second chance. Just leave me alone, in a sense. They will tell you you can't sleep alone in a strange place. Then they'll tell you you can't sleep with somebody else. But sooner or later you sleep in your own space. Either way, it's okay. You wake up up with yourself. So it's a kind of a song encouraging you to be independent, not to listen to other people. Do your thing. Go live your life. Speak your mind. That's another thing that the lyrics say, right? And you can speak your mind, but not on my time, right? I'm not going to waste your time on you babbling away. You can tell me stuff, but if I'm not interested, I'm walking away. The chorus at the end says, kind of, keep it to yourself. It's my life. Keep it to yourself. It's my life. I don't care what you say anymore. It's my life. So, a good message in a lighthearted, melodic, pleasant, rhythmic song. Enjoyable, right? Enjoyable. Another song by Billy Joel. We didn't start the fire. Again, fun. One of these fun songs, again, that once in a while, hearing it is kind of fun. It's got great rhythm. This one has great rhythm. It's got very simple lyrics. Not very sophisticated. Lots of repetition. And it's basically, all about state of the world. It just lists things that are happening in the world. Harry Truman, Doris Day, Red China, Ronnie Ray, South Pacific, Walter Winchell, Joe Manganiello, Joe McCarthy, stuff you'd hear in the news, just stuff you're hearing. And the chorus says, we didn't start the fire. It was always burning. It's always been like this. Since the world beats turning, we didn't start the fire. No, we didn't light it, but we tried to fight it. So the idea is here, shit's happening. A lot of it, all the time. Not my fault. I didn't do it. You didn't do it. We didn't start it. This is the way of the world from the beginning, right? Rosenberg's, H-Bomb, Sugar Ray, King and I, just a mixture of things all over the place. So it's kind of rhythmic. You can really get into it and exciting. It would be, these song reviews would be so much better if I could sing. So much better if I could sing. Because then I could sing you pieces of it. We didn't start the fire. It was always burning since the world's been turning. And it repeats, and then it goes back into a list of things. So, again, not particularly sophisticated, not particularly interesting, fun, kind of an interesting message, but not really, nothing, no depth, really. But again, enjoyable. Something you could put in the background and you would sing along. I would sing along because, again, this is my music from the 70s. I would sing along, but not do much with. So I like Billy Joel. He's enjoyable. He's melodic, always melodic. He's got a great voice. It's very enjoyable. This one is Starlight by Muse. I I don't know. I don't particularly like this. Certainly, this is a harder edge than Billy Joel. It's very rhythmical, but it's harder. It's tough. It's more serious. I don't like his voice in particular. It's a little whiny. You know, but it's got some good lyrics. I mean, it's about going on an adventure, leaving. Far away, the ship is taking me far away from the memories of the people who care if I live or die. Starlight, I'll be chasing a starlight until the end of my life. So it's about adventure, about leaving, about going out there, about exploring. You know, it fits Columbus Day maybe. This is good. You know, and then he says, until the end of my life, I don't know if it's worth it anymore. Hold you in my arms. I just want to hold you in my arms. My life, you electrify my life. So a bit of a love story here. But it really is, you know, a story of departure. A story of departure and a story of exploration and leaving and going and seeking. And seeking the unknown. Our hopes and expectations, black holes and revelations. Yeah, our hopes and expectations, black holes and revelations. Hold you in my arms. I want to hold you in my arms. I just want to hold. I mean, that really does seem like he's leaving, but he really wants to stay, but he's leaving and he stays, but he's driven by the starlight. He's out there searching. Can't make up his mind. Yeah, I was not familiar with Muse. I'm not familiar with Muse, not familiar with the song. So I think this was my first time. It's okay. I don't love it. Didn't love it. Now we come to a song I actually like. It's, again, from the 70s. So it's a song that I listened to a lot when I had the album. This is a song, I had the album. I didn't have Billy Joel. I had Queen, but I didn't have Billy Joel albums. Had Elton John. And this is Gordon Lightfoot. I'm a big Gordon Lightfoot fan. I like Gordon Lightfoot. I like his voice, raspy kind of voice, but very, very expressive. He's very expressive in his singing. This is the song Edmund Fitzgerald, but I like a lot of Gordon Lightfoot's music. He's a storyteller, and the song is a story. He's very, very good, I think, at creating a certain atmosphere. And here it's about a doomed voyage of a boat on Lake, you know, on Lake Ontario. Lake Superior, Lake Superior in the winds of November, like a storm comes in the Edmund Fitzgerald and everybody dies. So it's it's a ballad, I think a beautiful ballad, beautifully sung. You know, the words are beautiful, it rhymes really, you know, the rhythm of the whole thing is really amazing. Very tragic, and it comes across, but it's got a certain eeriness to it. Got a certain, you can almost be on that boat, you know, where they're struggling against it. Gordon Lightfoot always had a unique voice and a unique sound. It's definitely malevolent in the sense that it's a song that's portraying nature over man, right? This was a good boat. And the crew was good. The crew was experienced. The crew knew what they were doing. And the gales of November came early, and they didn't have a chance. Right? They didn't have a chance. When supper time came, the old cook came on deck saying, "Fellas, it's too rough to feed you." At 7 p.m., I mean, hatchway caved in. He said, "Fellas, it's been good to know you." The captain wired in, he had water coming in, and the good ship and crew was in peril. And later that night, when his lights went out of sight, came the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. It's just powerful, it's emotional, it's effective, it's a beautiful song. If you don't know Gordon Lightfoot, I recommend him. He's Canadian. I like his music. I like his songs. I like a lot of them. Again, I find his voice and the way he sings super emotional, super conveying values, super interesting. And again, he's a ballad singer. He's a storyteller. He's a storyteller, which I like. I like ballads. All right, one more song. Yes, we'll do this song, and I think that covers my one debt to John, and then we'll do the rest. I've got more debts to John, but we'll do the rest. We'll do some tomorrow, and then we'll keep going from there. But there's a number of them. We'll also do the painting, Alma Tadema's The Discourse, which we'll do. Stringer Bell asked me to do, which we will do as well in the coming shows. I haven't seen Stringer Bell around on the chat in a long time. Maybe he's upset because I haven't done his painting. I don't know. All right, this one is For What It's Worth. For What It's Worth by Buffalo Springfield. Now, this is a song from 1966. It's kind of a classic. It's from before my time, but certainly heard it a lot growing up in the 1970s. It's a song written by Stephen Stills. This is Stephen Stills from Stills, Nash, and Young. No, what is it? Something Stills, Palmer, Stills, Nash, and Young, who was one of my favorite groups in the 1970s. I was a big fan of them. He has a sound to it, so this definitely has a little bit of that sound. Supposedly, he wrote this in 15 minutes. Supposedly, the song is associated with the Vietnam War. It became associated with the Vietnam War. It became a kind of an anti-war song. But really, he wrote it about a youth gathering protesting anti-loitering laws and the closing of a West Hollywood nightclub. But it turned into, thank you, Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. God, Palmer, Lake, and something was a different group. Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young was one of my favorite groups in the 70s. I really enjoyed them. I also liked them separately. Like, there was Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. Then there was Crosby, Stills, Nash, and then Young did his own thing. And then there was Crosby, Stills, and Nash did his own thing. And this is Stills in a previous iteration in Buffalo Springfield. Anyway, I mean, the song it's a classic of that period. It doesn't really resonate that much with me. I didn't particularly like it when I was growing up and hearing it. It's a rebellion of youth against authority, but it's also, look what's going on. It's a cry for help in a sense. It's a cry for. I can see why it became an anti-Vietnam War, because it's got that going on. Everybody, look what's going down. I mean, that's the chorus that keeps repeating, right? Everybody, look what's going down. Look how bad things are. Look at what they're doing. Look what the man is doing. Look what the adults are doing. Look how they're destroying the world. So it was very. It's very much kind of a protest song like that. I like a lot of the protest songs in the 60s, but this one didn't particularly resonate with me. But it is interesting, and if you want kind of a historical perspective to see kind of the evolution of music during the 60s and 70s and the protest movement, there was a lot of, Bob Dylan and Joan Baez, and I like Bob Dylan and I like Joan Baez. I like Bob Dylan a lot. I used to like Joan Baez more than I do now, but this is certainly part of that history and worth listening to in that context. And Zombie by Bad Wolves, I think we did Zombie already on a previous show. So those are the 7 song reviews that I owed John. There's more to come. There's some Disney movies that he asked me to review, and we'll do that. And then Shazbot has Metallica for me, and then he has and then there's other stuff as well. Also a Blackadder episode and a Star Trek episode from Evans. I've got Blackadder, I've got Star Trek, I've got Shazbot, Metallica, I've got Shazbot, Metallica, and then I've got Disney. And we're good. Oh, and Forks in the Road and Solange Alma Tadema's painting The Discourse. Cool. I'll probably do The Discourse tomorrow. That'll be fun. It'll be a little different. That I can put up on screen and we can talk about it so you can see what we're talking about. All right. Put that aside. Let's get to your super chat questions. Reminder: this show is funded through contributions from you. You fund the show. You make it possible. Please consider supporting the show with a question, with a sticker. You can ask about anything. As you can see, you can have me do a song review, movie review, a TV show review, painting review, sculpture review, whatever. Just put some money behind it, and we will do it. Painting is $100. Sculpture is $100. So those are more like songs from the perspective of how much work I have to put into it, time I have to put into it. So please jump in with any of that. And then in the meantime, use the super chat and the chat feature and the sticker feature here to support the show. Enric, thank you. Really appreciate the sticker. And thank you to all the other stickers that we've done today. Okay, let's jump in. We're way behind target, guys. I don't know. You've been very generous, I guess, the last few days. Maybe you're taking a breather from your generosity today. But, you know, there's a monthly goal, monthly target, daily goal, daily targets. We have to at least approach them. And we are getting a lot of live listeners. So, you know, if you're on live right now, it would be great if you joined in supporting the show with even like Enric did $3.99. We could do $3.99 Tuesday. Everybody do $3.99, and that'll work. There, Mary Eileen just did $3.99. That'd be great. All right, Oyvind. Hi, Yaron. I saw an interview done on trigonometry yesterday on Israel. They had Richard Kemp. I don't know Richard Kemp. Besides this channel, i.e. my channel, and to some extent, Douglas Murray, Sam Harris, and Ben Shapiro, it was so enlightening, highly recommended. All right, that's pretty impressive company you're putting Richard Kemp in. So I will definitely check him out. Let me copy paste this. Thank you, Oyvind. I'll check that out when I have a chance. I'm so behind on you know on all these interviews and stuff. The big one right now that I started listening to and I need to really get engaged with is Jordan Peterson and Dawkins, which I think is going to be super interesting and hopefully provide lots of content for the show. Carolina, thank you, from Mexico. And RDF, thank you. RDF doing $4. He took the $3.99 and added a cent. That's cool. Yeah, so jump in, right? If 150 people, we could do it. Colleen, thank you, Colleen, $50. So some people, that's great. Thank you, Colleen. $3.99 Tuesday, Robert says. I call that a bargain. I call it a bargain too. Thank you to all of you guys helping me chip away. So now we're at our first hour goal. So now we start chipping away at the second hour goal. All right, Michael, how many people discovered objectivism out of survival? To survive the epistemological chaos and irrationality all around us, we need the right answers as a shield against going insane. Yes, I agree with all that. I don't know how many people discovered objectivism out of survival. I didn't. I was doing fine when I discovered objectivism. I mean, but certainly I know people who were not doing fine who, told me if they hadn't discovered objectivism, they probably wouldn't have survived. They probably wouldn't have lived. So I've known people like that. I don't know how many people are like that. I don't know how many people are like that. But it's a tough world out there if you don't have a good set of ideas that explains it and that puts it in context and puts your life and the value of your life in the right context. So that you know that in spite of the craziness, your life is worth living. Jennifer, the Jewish Three Stooges, is there such a thing? Oh, the Three Stooges were Jewish. The Three Stooges did a skit in 1940s with Moe playing Hitler. They did show Hitler as a total dumbass that he is. Do you think that was an understandable way for them to vent or not a subject for humor? Look, I think ultimately it's not a subject for humor, but it's certainly particularly at the time was a way to vent. Look, I don't think communism is a subject for humor, but yet Ninotchka is brilliant and funny. I don't think the Nazis are a subject for humor, but the same director who did Ninotchka also directed To Be or Not to Be. And To Be or Not to Be is an hysterical movie making fun of the Nazis. And one of the lines is that the Nazi says, which is funny in the context, but if you think about it, not funny at all. He says, so they call me concentration camp, whatever his name is, Schultz or whatever. And that's not funny, but in the context of the movie it is. And so it's it's one way in which a lot of people dealt with the evil. And then, of course, Charlie Chaplin made The Great Dictator. Now, I think Charlie Chaplin said that if he had known the true horror of Hitler, because I think he made The Great Dictator in 1940 or 1941, and he didn't have the full context of Hitler's evil, then he probably wouldn't have made it. But if you watch The Great Dictator, I highly recommend it. It's a powerful movie. And he makes fun of Hitler. And so I understand why they do it, even if I can see there's certainly a rational perspective from which it is inappropriate. Hogan's Heroes is a little different. It's not making fun of concentration camps. It's not making fun of Nazis qua Nazis. It's making fun of the Germans, the German army. They used to show, I used to really like Hogan's Heroes. That was a fun show. And it made the Americans, But, so it is challenging, I guess. Shazbot says, maybe Springtime for Hitler could unironically become financially viable now. Yeah, it probably could. That's right. That's right. Didn't it become financially viable in the play? It did. In the play, it actually makes money. That's the problem, right? That's how the producers lose money, because they make money. The whole gimmick that they have is that they're putting on such a ridiculous, absurd play that it won't make money. And because it won't make money, all their double, triple, quadruple dipping will never be discovered. They'll have pocketed all the money up front, and then the play will disappear, and they'll tell all the investors, yeah, tough, it didn't make any money. The way they get the fraud that gets discovered is it's a huge hit. It makes money. And that's why they get in trouble. So even in Mel Brooks's, the producer's movie, which is, I think, the best Mel Brooks movie, by far the best Mel Brooks movie made is The Producers. I think second best Mel Brooks movie, you've never heard of it. It's called 12 Chairs. Those two are the best, by far, Mel Brooks movies made. Both his first two and his best two. All right. All right. Thanks, Shazbot. All right, we stopped. What happened to the stickers? They stopped. Robert declared $3.99 Tuesdays being a bargain, and everybody said, yeah, well, I don't want that bargain. They walked away. I don't know. You scared them away, Robert. All right, Andrew, you don't care that you're sneered at as bloodthirsty to thousands of people? Well, look at the smears against Rand. It's a cost of being an objectivist, though objectivism teaches the independence that helps one not care about smears. Yes, and look, I'm right. What's there to worry about, right? I'm right. They're wrong. I know I'm right. I have, they are, their whole position, their whole framework is of anarchism is pathetic. It's ridiculous. It's anti-reality. And as ugly, as horrible it is to say some of the things I have to say, because it does involve, advocating for killing people. It's the right thing to do. It's what justice demands. It's what freedom demands. It's what sanity demands. It's what rationality demands. So I'd be shocked if I wasn't pissing a lot of people off. What's sad to me is not Dave Smith. What's sad to me is how many people who listen to my show also listen to him. How many people think that libertarians, those kind of libertarians, are close to objectivism and our friends when they are clearly our enemies, when they're clearly the enemies of civilization, clearly the enemies of liberty, of freedom. That's what upsets me. If I'm going to be upset, I'm not going to be upset at Dave Smith. I'm going to be upset at people who tell me I need to get along with Dave Smith. I need to be his best friend. I need to form a big tent with him. Like the Scots of the world. Where is Scott? The Scots of the world. They're the people I'm upset with, much more than I am with Dave Smith. Dave Smith I've written off already. It's the people who think they're my allies and they think they're helping me by pushing me to work with Dave Smith. All right, Shazbat. You could swear in Hebrew, like on the show Firefly, they swear in Chinese. See, this is the problem, though, that I don't know any swear words in Hebrew. The only swear words I know are in Arabic. As when we were growing up in Israel, we pretty much only swore in Arabic. And the Arabic swear words are really nasty. They're not nice. And I couldn't bring myself to do it in public. And, you know, it doesn't sound right for me to swear in Arabic. Although if I was going to swear, I would swear in Arabic. And when I'm speaking Hebrew and I swear in Arabic. Like Arabic and Yiddish, that's it. So I could swear in Yiddish, but the swears in Yiddish are like uninteresting. They're not that juicy. Arabic, ugh. Yeah, pretty nasty. So yes, that would be a problem for me. That would make me many more enemies if I started swearing to everybody in Arabic. Oh, I skipped some super chats. Sorry, Matt. Please analyze Jordan Peterson and Dawkins' recent conversation. Being persecuted by the woke left broke Jordan's brain. Truly sad to see. Thank you for helping me avoid that path. I don't know, to analyze that conversation would probably take me 20 hours. I mean, how am I going to do that, right? It's an hour and a half conversation or 2 hour conversation? And my tendency is to speak 2 minutes for every 30 seconds of conversation. So that means 4x. So yeah, this will take hours and hours and hours for me to analyze it. I am going to listen to it and maybe pick out some juicy parts and talk to you about those, because I am interested in this, because I think Dawkins and JP are both wrong. Their disagreement reflects a real split in philosophy, real philosophical split, real ideological split in terms of epistemology and metaphysics and ethics. Well, ethics they agree mostly, but mostly epistemological and metaphysical, and it's really interesting. And the things there that I agree with both of them, but my context is so different philosophically that you have to scrap them both and start over, and they're both wrong. Anyway, there's some good bits in there and I'm looking forward to watching it. So I'll let you guys know. Thank you, Matt. Paul, what is your opinion of France's attempts to get an arms embargo on Israel? Can it succeed? Sure. I mean, Bernie Sanders said yesterday that if Kamala Harris wins, she might be open to an arms embargo on Israel. I don't know. She won't say it because she'll lose votes, but she might. Go figure. Europeans are very likely, let's say the International Court of ICC, whatever, the International Court rules against Israel and accuses them of genocide. Could that spur France and Germany and UK and Italy and Spain for arms embargo on Israel? Could very well be. Could very well be. So I think it's quite possible. I mean, you know what I think of it. It's evil and nasty and so on, but it's quite possible. All right, Frank, what happens to beers like Heineken and Guinness if Trump import tax go through? I don't know. Oh, Heineken and Guinness are not American-made. If also AOC plus Sanders are warning Harris not to fire Lena Khan. Yeah, I mean, Lena Khan, but look, I don't think Trump will fire Lena Khan. J.D. Vance is on record saying Lena Khan is fantastic. He loves Lena Khan. So not clear how we get rid of Lena Khan, given the choices that we have. Lena Khan is liked by J.D. Vance. what happens? The price of beer, it goes up. Heineken and Guinness prices go up. And because American beer faces less competition, prices of American beer goes up. And you're stuck with drinking Budweiser instead of Guinness. Now, there's a choice for you. But, yeah, I'm not sure why beer is special. This is what happens to everything. Price goes up. Tariffs are tax on you. It means you pay more on all the stuff you buy. All the stuff you buy, including the American-made stuff, because the American-made stuff faces less competition, so they have less incentive to lower prices. Eric Saunders, billions to Iran, protecting Iran's nuclear weapons program, arms embargo against Israel, leaking planned attacks, equity in everything, anti-reliable energy, tariffs worse than that. I can't see it. Can't see what? Oh, the tariffs are worse than that. Yeah, because tariffs is just in the context of economics. All I said was, from an economic perspective, tariffs are worse than what Kamala is proposing. They're worse than the taxes she wants to increase. The tariffs are worse than the regulations she wants to impose. Tariffs are the worst economic policy, the way Trump has them, that anybody is proposing. That doesn't mean they're worse than all the other things that Kamala is proposing. Now, if you want to compare Trump to Kamala, then you have to compare the whole package deal. You have to compare Trump's adoration of Putin. You have to compare his envy of Xi. You have to add his love affair with the head of the brutal dictator of North Korea. You have to include his just eagerness to negotiate with the Iranians. And I think his what else do you want? That's just international. And then domestically, you have to balance it all out against January 6th and his unwillingness to accept losing an election, which is not only childish and so loser and just pathetic, but it's also suggestive of, wait a minute, if we value elections in this country, do we really want to elect a man who has actively engaged in trying to overturn his loss? Somebody who's promised to fire the entire leadership of the Pentagon and put his own people in. Somebody who has argued that he might use the military against his domestic enemies. Somebody who wants to shut down the press if they criticize him. I could go on and on and on about Trump's sins. So all I was saying was, in my view, on an economic basis, Trump's tariffs are worse than anything Kamala Harris is proposing in terms of economics. That's all I said. If you want to compare the two candidates, I believe, I know, old-fashioned, that the character of the President of the United States is very important. I'm not impressed with Kamala's character. I don't like her. I've said that many times. But Trump would be the nastiest, ugliest, most disgusting character who's ever been president of the U.S. He's already done it. And he's not getting better. He's getting worse with age. And that, to me, is a huge factor. And he has the character of a thug, of a gutter thug. And as bad a character as Kamala has, as Biden has, as Clinton had, as Obama had, Trump is beneath them, is lower than them. So that's my view of Trump. So it's not an issue of weighing on the scales Kamala's views, Trump's views. It's adding it all up in a holistic way and viewing who they are as human beings. Kamala's just an average, common statist. Trump is a new phenomenon and a very bad phenomenon and has been very, very, very bad already for the United States, in particular for the Republican Party. Very destructive to the Republican Party. Hookham says, Twitch Geo banned Israel and Palestine for a year now. I don't know who Twitch Geo is, and I don't understand the sentence. He's banned for what? For saying what? For being pro-Israel, anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian? I don't know. Shally says, did you hear about Twitch blocking profile creation for Israel? I talked about that. Did you miss that? I talked about that for Israelis, yes. They claim it's an error, and supposedly they fixed it. Hunter, thank you, Hunter. I'm a limited partner at an oil and gas company. Trump's tariff will halt development in marginally economic acreage and wreak havoc. It's certain. Yeah, I mean, Trump is really, really, really good. The one thing he's really, really good at is energy policy. But his tariffs can wipe out the goodness of his energy policy. So it's just, you guys don't quite get how bad tariffs are and what they represent. And again, the way he pitches them, it would be one thing if he said, look, I know tariffs are tax on you. I understand the tariffs will increase the cost of living, but this is what we must have to do in order to achieve X, Y, Z. But he lies to you. He tells you you won't pay them. He tells you some fictitious nonsense about the other guy paying them, which is complete BS. He tells you that they're economically beneficial, that he just lies. But every aspect of this, in spite of the fact that there's not an economist who will stand by him. So, yeah, I mean, he's a unique phenomenon. And in my view, I've said this many, many, many times. The only positive outcome from this election, the only positive outcome for me, would be a Kamala Harris landslide win. In other words, a Donald Trump landslide loss, and a Republican victory in the Senate or House to block Kamala. That's the only good outcome, and that's not going to happen. Sadly, it's not going to happen. Landslide. He should lose by 10, 20% of the popular vote. He needs to lose a lot. If he loses by a small amount, he'll claim it was stolen. He'll claim it's unfair. And MAGA will keep rolling, will keep pushing, will keep going. Only a big loss would shake the Republican Party, hopefully, to an extent where they reconsider MAGA. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank Colleen again, because that's $50 sticker. Really, really amazing. Thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you, Graham. Thank you, Fend Harper. And we're done for today. Appreciate it. Thanks to all the super chatters. Thank you all for being here. I will see you all tomorrow. Probably 3 o'clock, same as today. So probably 3 p.m. Eastern time. And then on Thursday, we'll probably do the show in the evening on Thursday. Because I've got doctor's appointments all day and physical therapy. Looking forward to the physical therapy, finally getting some physical therapy for the shoulder. I'm looking forward to that. And finally seeing the doctor and him telling me if I'm healing or not healing or what the hell's going on. All right. Thank you, guys. See you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.